8 years ago, I had no idea where to start, and I felt lost in a sea of information. Should I go to university? How should I learn how to code myself? Over time, I figured out a path forward and learned the ropes of the industry. So let's work together and figure out how you can get started on your own journey towards becoming a software engineer. In this video, I've narrowed down 3 parts that you can take to become a software engineer. I'm going to talk about each of those parts, how you can get there, as well as the pros and cons for each of those approaches. Hopefully by the end of this video, you will get a much better idea of which path suits you the best and how you can become a software engineer as well. Self-learning can be extremely daunting in the beginning because you have no idea where to start. Where do you even begin learning how to code, or how do you become a software engineer? I've listed out a few steps that you can take to get there. Let's talk about each of those steps. The first step and the prerequisite to becoming a software engineer is the ability to code. There are a ton of courses available out there that you can learn coding for free with. My favorite, and the one that I've recommended to so many people, is Harvard CS50 Introduction to Computer Science course. This course covers the fundamentals of coding as well as programming, and it goes into depth as well as covering basic knowledge of coding itself. It's a great place to start if you want to get your hands dirty. It may be a bit more complex for a beginner, but I would still recommend you to try it out, see how you feel about it. If it's too difficult for you, try something else. The other 3 courses that you could try are Code Academy, Khan Academy, which was very popular when I was a kid, Free Code Camp, which is a non-profit that teaches you how to code, as well as W3 Schools if you're into web development. Once you're familiar with the basic concepts of coding, like what is an array, what is a variable, you can then start to specialize in a single language. To get your foot through the door and to get a job eventually, it's essential for you to know at least one language proficiently, and I would recommend that language to be either Python or JavaScript, because these are just so much easier to learn and pick up as compared to Java or C or PHP. If you're looking to become a web developer who wants to work on the front end or even the back end, learning JavaScript is a great idea because then you can code both on the front end and the back end with just the knowledge of a single language. To get the hang of these languages and to practice what you've actually learned in theory, it's time to put it into application by doing some simple projects. These projects can include things like tic-tac-toe games or even creating a basic resume website that you could eventually use to send to future employers or potential companies. Once you have some experience, you can then move on to building more complex projects. These can include things like games using Unity, or you can create a more complex website with a complex algorithm, or you can even create an AI tool using machine learning or using ChatGPT even, try to integrate that with the problem that you encounter in your daily life. This is essential for you to do so that you can add them to your resume, because you won't have a certificate proving how good you are or what you're capable of and what you've learned. Next, you should practice your coding skills on LeetCode. A great way to learn skills and to remember them and retain knowledge is through active recall, which means to keep on practicing and testing yourself theoretical knowledge that you have already learned. Programming consists of a ton of concepts that you have to remember, as well as keep track of and just understand and formulate in your brain, which can get quite difficult. So LeetCode is a great place for you to practice these skills. You can practice your coding skills, your data structures and algorithms, your sorting, your search algorithms, things like that. That would be very beneficial for you at an interview as well. To boost your resume even more, you could also participate in some coding contests and challenges on LeetCode itself. You could then add your accomplishments on your resume to prove again to employers that you know what you're doing, you're actually really good even though you don't have a certificate. Once you feel confident in your skills, it's time to apply for internships or graduate programs in companies that offer them. If you do a good enough job, you could even convert these internships to a full-time role. And if you don't, it's still a great learning opportunity for you to put all of this theoretical knowledge that you've learned into a real-world scenario and seeing what software engineering is actually like. You're also going to require other skills like understanding frameworks, understanding databases, and all of these different tools. But I would say start with these basic concepts first and work your way up once you get the hang of these. Now, with this approach of learning it by yourself, there are a couple of pros as well as cons. A big pro is that you save a ton of money because you're not going to be spending thousands of dollars on a university degree or a boot camp, so you save money there. Another pro is that if you are someone who is very self-motivated and you don't like others to tell you what to do, this is a great approach. No one's going to tell you what to do. You get to choose when you learn, what you learn, and how you learn. So it's great if you're disciplined and self-motivated. But with that, a con for this approach is that if you are not a disciplined individual, or at least if you're not extremely disciplined, this will be difficult for you to do because you're not going to have someone to hold you accountable. Another con is that you're going to need extremely impressive projects on your resume to attract potential employers to even interview you, because you're going to be competing against people who come out of boot camps or universities and they already have a certificate proving what they know and what classes they've taken. So you're going to need cool projects, maybe some hackathons, winning some challenges or contests online. Meaningful contributions to a couple of GitHub repositories would be a great idea as well. The last con is that this process is probably going to take you a lot of time because without guidance, it's very difficult for you to figure out what you don't know. So you're going to have to get your hands dirty and dive into this world of programming, which has a ton of knowledge out there already. So you might be sinking in the deep end and not knowing where to go next. But with the cons there, if this approach doesn't seem like it would work for you, there are still 2 other options, so keep watching. Bootcamps are extremely popular for those who want to learn coding quickly as well as efficiently. If your end goal is to become a software engineer, that's what you want to do. You don't care about any other aspects of computing, you just want to become a software engineer. This is a great option. There are a ton of bootcamps out there. They're actually really good at what they do. One popular bootcamp is Career Foundry, which offers a fully online program for students to take up, and within 5 months you can become a software engineer. In fact, on their website they even claim that 96% of their cohort within 6 months gets a job, which is insane to me. It costs about $8,000 from the research that I could do, and that seems like a decent amount of money to spend in a bootcamp, considering you might increase the amount of money that you earn if you are a software engineer compared to your current job. Another popular bootcamp is General Assembly, which is structured a bit differently in the sense that it's a 3-month program, but it's full-time. So that means you'd have to dedicate a full 3 months to this bootcamp. You would not be able to do anything on the side. But they have a great reputation as well. And the good thing about having so many bootcamps out there is that you are able to pick and choose which one suits your situation the best and what works for you. But like everything, there's pros and cons involved. Big pro is that you have a high success rate with this approach. Like Career Foundry says, 96% of their cohort gets a job within 6 months. That's an extremely high success rate to become a software engineer. So that's a big pro right there. Another pro is that you're going to be given a structured curriculum that gives you all the skills you need to become a software engineer. They won't teach you anything more, anything less. Third pro is the networking opportunities with both your peers as well as instructors. You'll be able to collaborate with a lot of other aspiring engineers as well as instructors who you can learn a lot from. A big pro is that you'd have to commit a lot less of your time as compared to a more traditional education like a university degree that lasts for at least 3 to 4 years. In this case, you only need to contribute like 3 months of your life or 5 months of your life to get a large chunk of knowledge. Bootcamps can cost you a few thousands of dollars, which can be very expensive for some people. Not everyone has this chunk of cash lying around to spend on bootcamps, so it's not for everyone in that sense. Another con is that there is a potential for there to be gaps in your knowledge if you graduate from a bootcamp. Because bootcamps are focused on teaching students technical skills and preparing them for the workforce, there may be gaps in foundational knowledge that could be covered in a more traditional university degree. I mean, after all, a university degree is 3 years or 4 years, and a bootcamp is just 5 months. So a student graduating from a 4 years university is probably going to come out of it with a lot more knowledge than a 5 months bootcamp. The third option is a university degree. This is the most traditional option, it's the most time consuming and it's the most costly. Yet, I think it's a great option. I went for the university degree approach, and that's why I think I might be biased with this. I've been asked quite a lot, like, what should I study to become a software engineer at university? There are a ton of things you can study. In fact, you can even study mechanical engineering and then become a software engineer. It really doesn't matter. But if you do want to study something that teaches you all the skills you need to become a software engineer, I would recommend a computer science degree, or some universities even offer software development or software engineering as a degree itself. That would be a great choice. But if you're also interested in the hardware, like I was, I study computer engineering. So you could also study that as well and become a software engineer. So this route may seem pretty tedious as compared to a bootcamp or learning it by yourself, but there are some pros. Like the first pro, which is you have a more thorough education. This means that you will learn not just the practical skills to become a software engineer, but also the theoretical concepts behind them. For example, a university degree will consist of courses that teach you things like data structures and algorithms, computer networks, AI, machine learning, operating systems, extremely low-level languages like assembly, how the entire computer actually works, while a bootcamp may focus on slightly narrow concepts like certain programming languages or frameworks that you need to become a software engineer. Another big pro of going to university is that most universities have a partnership with other universities for exchange programs, or even with other companies for internships or for full-time job placements. This can be so beneficial for you as a student if you are looking for internships. Like my university had a portal where we had all of the companies there, and we could use this university portal to apply for internships, and that made the process so much easier. I had the opportunity via my university to go to San Francisco and do an internship there as well as work at the same time for a full year. Another pro is that if you are from a prestigious university, I don't want to say that this matters, but I think it does in the real world. Like, prestige and eliteness do matter to a certain extent. So if you are from a more elite or prestigious university like an Ivy League, or maybe the top university of your country, it does help you get a job a lot faster just by people seeing the name of that university in your resume. It's also because this is seen as a symbol of your intelligence and your work ethic as a student, and the fact that you were able to get into this university means a lot. The last pro, and I don't think this applies to everybody, and I think there are ways around it, but having a degree or a proper certification that showcases your knowledge and your skills and your capabilities does help you with visa processes if you are looking to migrate to a different country. Like when I was in the process of getting my blue card here in Europe, the fact that I had a university degree that tied in well with my area of work, so because I'm a software engineer, my degree was in computer engineering, that did make the process a lot easier, because all that the lawyers had to do was look at the classes and modules I took in my university and prove that I know all this information and knowledge. So having a degree or a certificate can help you in certain legal processes as well, but I don't think this is a big deal. You can probably find a different way out of it to get the same visa. I'm sure there are a ton of people who have blue cards and who don't have the correct certificates. Which brings me to the con of going to university, which is quite a lot as well. A big con is it's very expensive. If you're in America, it probably costs you like hundreds of thousands of dollars, if I'm not mistaken. It cost me a couple of thousands of dollars at least in Singapore. And it cost me 4 years of my life, which is significant if you think of it. It's like a sixth of my life at least. Another con that I also mentioned as a pro just now is that you will learn a lot of stuff. This can be a con, depends on who you are. It could be a pro if you're someone who wants to learn a lot of things and who is just interested in the concepts of computer science in general, or you're interested in hardware even though you want to become a software engineer. So that's why you go to university and like just pick up this extra knowledge just because it's interesting to you. But if that's not what you are, university degree is probably not the best path for you, because you would learn a ton of unnecessary knowledge and information that you would not need to become a software engineer. I learned a ton of things in university that I don't use in my job day to day as software engineer. So while a university degree is probably a great option for a lot of people and is the most traditional path, it's what a lot of people have been doing, I don't think it's for everyone. So based on the pros and cons I've listed out, choose what works best for you. If you do have the financial means and the time, go for a university degree. I think it's a great choice because you do learn a lot of things outside of just technical knowledge. You also get to meet so many cool people. You get to go and have a lot of fun experiences with other students around. You experience dorm life. It's just a different lifestyle that's extremely fun and fulfilling. If you have money but no time, go for a bootcamp. If I were in marketing right now and looking to change my career into software engineering, I would go for the bootcamp approach. I think you learn just the skills that you need to do the job and do it well. But if you have time but no money, then go for the free approach. I would actually suggest that everyone does this free approach first. Just do the free courses out there. You don't need to spend a lot of money to become a software engineer. You could even just spend the first 3 weeks of your time dedicating 2 hours a day just to pick up basic concepts of coding through those free courses I listed out. And if you then determine that this is something I enjoy, I see myself becoming a software engineer, I really like what I'm doing, then maybe choose the bootcamp approach. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. I have other videos where I talk about my day-to-day life and the tasks that I do as a software engineer, so check those out if it interests you. And with that, I'll see you in the next one.